Hello and welcome to another episode of JBR Play. I am your host John Freeman and tonight I'm joined by
Ben?
And Rick.
And tonight, so we're going to change it up again and we're going to start with TV as our topic this week, which is being asked by Ben. So Ben, what is your question for us?
So I want to talk about anime, really, is what I want to talk about. So I guess my question would be to do with the idea of the difference between, I guess, American anime and sort of Japanese anime, because there's not many, as far as I'm aware, American animes, whereas, Japanese, there's loads of them. Sure, you have the dubbed versions, but it doesn't make them American. So yeah, how do you sort of feel in terms of the availability of anime, the increasing number of it on Netflix at the moment, and that in general, really?
Well, I think you can argue that anime isn't just Japanese animation as well, and I think we've talked about this before. You've got cartoons such as Teen Titans, and kind of if you go to the kids channels on Sky, for example, there are American animations on there. It is still animation. It's technically not. It doesn't fall under anime, but it is technically American animation.
That's the thing that I remember. I've looked it up because it's confusing me. Anime is just shortened term of animation. So it's just because the term anime is used in Japan more than it is here or in the Western side of the world. It's been coined as a term for Japanese animation, I guess. So yeah, like you're saying, Teen Titans, and anything really. Dexter's Laboratory. It technically is anime to a form, but yeah.
I'd say actually, I don't know if you can argue this anymore. I feel that it's becoming more mainstream as a whole, both Japanese and American animation shows, and they are covering some quite grown-up context. It doesn't feel like it's just aimed at. Well, to be fair, with a lot of Japanese animes, especially, not a lot of them do cover some quite dark and adult themes and context. If you watched, I love Naruto, for example, and even though I think it's aimed at kind of younger teenagers, there are some topics and kind of ideas in that show that are quite dark, and the manga, well, obviously same thing, that cover some quite dark ground, which I wouldn't really say is for kids, but
I guess
it's still it's a really powerful story, which you could interpret as for adults, despite the fact it's a cartoon.
That is a big difference, I guess, I've seen between anime and cartoons. Is you say the content would not be suitable for.
No, I don't really tend to watch cartoons, like all the American stuff. I don't really watch. The only thing that I really watched was Avatar, for example.
That was
a long time ago.
But Avatar was heavily inspired by Japanese anime. It was designed to be kind of like a Japanese animation.
But my favorite ones are like Death Note and what was it, Code Geass that I watched recently.
Is that
where it's really it's on Netflix. I tend to like to watch on there because it's just easy. You can click and you can watch it legally and stuff. But I think the concepts of those ones are really interesting because Code Geass, he gets the ability to control a person. He needs to look them in the eye and he can tell them what to do and they have to carry it out. And he tries to, the idea is that sort of America, it's called Britannia, has taken over Japan. So they've taken over loads of area, China as well and stuff. And essentially it sets up a freedom fighters sort of group to try and, get rid of Britannia. And he tries to use that power to try and free the people, but he uses it in brutal ways as well.
Oh, so he's not as you said brutal, so he's more an anti-hero.
Well, it's not quite as brutal. It's not quite as brutal as Death Note, for example.
Right.
Definitely,
he does set up a rebellion, kills loads of people to.
And again, you could argue Death Note, I'd say, covers some quite adult themes in the terms of, do you have a right to decide? I haven't actually watched Death Note, but from what I've read about it, and I've looked into it a bit, and a lot of my friends have watched it, so it comes in very highly praised. The idea of do you have a right to decide just because someone's a criminal? Do you have a right to decide whether they live or die? Because in the beginning of Death Note, especially, doesn't he just start out going for criminals, and he's being hunted down by the police, but he's using the book to kill criminals in prison and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's quite an adult theme. That's not something you'd really show a child, is it? You wouldn't be like, hey, it's one of your kids comes in from school and you're like, hey, do you want to see this? Let's watch it together. It'll be great.
Some of the ways they die as well is quite great.
Yeah, because you choose how they die, don't you? You can write in the book how they die.
Yeah, he develops his powers over time and finds out what his limits are and stuff. He actually experiments with killing people.
Yeah, because that's quite that again, that's quite a graphic dark thing. You won't, whereas like for example, going back to like Teen Titans, and it's a lot of kind of comic book cartoons I feel at the moment. But then you've got the Disney Channel, which actually is now kind of like with Marvel as well and Star Wars.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is aimed at it's aimed at a younger audience. Whereas if you look at
generally, for everyone, I guess more than just older people. I guess I don't know, not saying older, but you know what I mean, like
But I think it's a difference in cultures as well. You can see in it because I think it almost feels like, because when you watch shows like Naruto and Bleach, some of the humor feels like it is for a younger audience. But then, like I said, some of the story kind of topics they cover, I would argue aren't necessarily for children. Not in a bad way, but they do cover some quite heavy topics. Like, for example, there's a character in Naruto who, when he's only 7 or 8 years old, sees his entire family murdered by his brother. And he grows up wanting to, literally, his whole goal for the first, like, half of the whole idea of Naruto is to hunt down and murder his brother. And it's quite a heavy topic to discuss. It's not something you would have, show to younger children. Right? Teenagers, around that age group, that's when they would start watching that stuff. So I think that Japan feels a bit more broader on the spectrum of who they show, what audience they're aiming for.
Same thing. Attack on Titan, same thing. The main character,
definitely.
He sees his mum being bitten in half by a giant monster, and obviously that makes him go into a roid rage, and he rages out a lot in that anime.
But
basically, then he grows up then, basically just living off vengeance. Really, that's what he wants to do. He wants to become a soldier so he can then fight the Titans and get payback. Really, so that's not a way to live your life, is it? But
you could also argue for American animation, it's actually quite a split, isn't it? Because thinking about it, they've got shows as well like South Park and Archer, which are technically animations. They're a very different style, but they are definitely aimed at adults. They're not aimed at children. So they do cover both markets, and I don't know about you guys if you've noticed this or not, but it does feel like anime in the UK especially is getting bigger and bigger. Like, it's becoming more and more popular. It is becoming mainstream. I remember when I was at school, I was kind of quiet about the idea that I liked anime. I didn't really... I was worried if I told people about it, it would come across as, can you get bullied for it? But then, as I've gotten older, I've actually noticed more and more people are watching it, and it is becoming a more... I don't want to say adult thing, but it's becoming something that adults are a lot more...
It's still with sort of people with the nerdy tendencies, just to call it that way. Because I know people that watch it, but I've had people at work also go, you watch that stuff? Really? I made a comment to them, and do you watch Disney movies? And then most of the people be like, yeah. It's like, so how is anime, which deal with very adult subjects, some of them, how's that like a kiddie thing, or like not a thing that we should watch? Like, I don't understand how that applies, really.
And I think that is a big part of it, is that growing up, you, like you said, you kind of had at school, you kind of had the cool kids, and it was always kind of associated, wasn't it, that sports were for the cool kids, and kind of stuff like cartoons and sci-fi elements and kind of fantasy things like Lord of the Rings as well were for kind of geeky people, supposedly. And that's why I think a lot of people were they were nervous, I think, about talking about it. But nowadays it feels like as a society we've become a lot more laid back, and things that were considered geeky when we were younger are now considered cool. Like Marvel, like I've always loved Marvel, and now that the films are out, I can talk to people who I never would have thought, like when I was growing up I never would have talked to about superheroes. Now I can, because of the cinema, the MCU, they love it, and they're like, oh, did you check out the new Captain America? Have you seen the new Iron Man? And you're like, yes. Like, it's becoming more acceptable in society to like these things, I guess.
I guess it's more exposure now, because obviously there's more media, there's films as well as comics, as new TV shows. You got all the toys, you got games, you got everything. It's everywhere now. So it's less, here's a small, few items and products that you can do. And it's more, as I say, more accessible to everyone now on a whole, as a franchise. So mainstream,
Do you think that there will eventually get to a stage when they kind of blend the two together, almost like the Japanese style of animation that we've been talking about with the themes and everything, and the American style, which I don't know about you guys, but to me it does definitely feel like it's kind of like a split. Like they have stuff for young children, then it suddenly jumps to like adults, like we were saying with Archer and South Park and like Family Guy, as well as teenagers. I'd say kind of teenagers to young adults. as well. You wouldn't show Family Guy to a little
humor,
kid, really, would you? You wouldn't show you definitely wouldn't show South Park to a little kid. So they've got it feels like there's a big split between them. It's like they get to a certain age and they kind of cap it, and then they go, right, now we're going to focus on making cartoons for adults.
Well, they do what Disney did, and they sneak in the little adult jokes that the kids don't get.
That's brilliant. See, that's great though. But yeah, can you see a blend of it? Because I do feel like they are sort of getting to that stage with shows like Avatar and Ruby as well, which is a web series anime, and I feel I absolutely love Ruby, and they cover some quite adult. It feels like it's getting darker now. The story topics are going to get darker, but they do cover some things which I think are great for children to hear. But they also make the dialogues also not adjusted. The dialogue's also for adults as well. It's not for kids. Like you can watch it as an adult or a kid and still love it. Ruby, it's one of those things. It does feel like it's for all ages. And for example, the two main characters are sisters, and then you find out later they're actually half sisters. And there's like it kind of almost goes along the lines of like a divorce and losing a parent. How do you cope with that as a kid? And that is stuff that is really helpful for children to listen to. And they're doing it in a way as well that's not like Naruto, for example, where like Sasuke sees his whole family butchered in front of him. Spoilers if you haven't seen Naruto. And it feels like it's a very clever way to do it. And that to me feels like it is kind of a merge of the light-hearted American animes with the, I guess, kind of the gritty depth and darkness, of some of the stories that the Japanese animes cover. They found like the perfect balance to me in the middle of it. And I haven't watched Avatar, but I've only ever heard good things about The Last Airbender, and even is it the Book of Korra, the sequel?
I don't know. I haven't bothered with that one, to be honest.
Apparently, they're both amazing. They're shows that you should be like. We should be watching. If you're a fan of anime, it's something you should be watching. Apparently, it is really good.
I've gone more to the dark side of the Japanese anime. Like I really like that stuff. That's my kind of.
What was it you watched? Fairy Tail? Is that it?
Oh yeah, that's not dark at all.
I've never.
I stopped watching it when I started watching Death Note.
That's meant to be quite one of the new big ones, though, isn't it? Because they were.
Fairy Tail's got loads of episodes already, though.
Well, they were saying
like 200 or something.
One Piece, because the big three for a while that were kind of coming over from Japan were Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. And that was when we were. And
Digimon.
They are now.
Pokemon.
Well, Pokemon's still going strong. We know that much. You go on Netflix, you can watch tons of them.
Ash, screw up.
If he loses another championship, I give up on him. There's only so many times you can hear a theme tune about how he's going to win, then he loses. It's too heartbreaking. It's too emotional.
We've discussed it. It's not about him, is it? The song's not about him. It can't be about him.
No, it's about what's his name, Alan. But
Gary.
No, it's not about Gary. He quits, doesn't he? Like halfway through, he's like, I don't want to be a trader anymore. I want to be a scientist. And it's like, okay, see ya.
Bye, Gary.
Maybe Ash should take the same hint and be like, I'm actually not very good at this. Maybe I should quit and just become like, I don't know. I'm not going to say a job in case I say he's something offensive.
Didn't he finally kiss a girl?
No, he didn't. No, he left. And everyone was shipping it. Like, oh, Ash is actually going to get a relationship.
Or like, no, it's like a scene where like, I think she walks up to him and you see her go onto her tiptoes, and it's either you assume it's a kiss or it's a hug or something. Because then she goes away and she's all red, and it's like, oh, what did he do?
Because you know how people like to ship, especially with they do it with TV shows, but they love to do it with animes as well. People ship characters they want to end up in a relationship together, and everyone was really like, if you go online and look at it for the last series, X, Y, and Z, they were really kind of pushing for Ash to get into this relationship, and in a way, that could be a really good way to kind of show younger children who are kind of getting to the age when they're around 12, 13, 14, where they may be looking at relationships. It could have been a good way to kind of give a good influence and be like, yeah, when you're in a relationship, this is how you kind of not do it properly, but this is kind of how you treat one another in a respectable, healthy relationship. And it would have been a good influence to children, young teenagers will say, for relationship. And they kind of just went away from it. It was like they were a bit too scared to go for it, and which is a shame, really.
Succeed at anything.
So if what would you say?
You were saying, what were you saying before I said Pokemon?
I can't remember. You just completely just. You know how easy I get distracted, man. There's no way. As soon as you start changing the topic, that's it. I'm gone. But what have you just done?
Nothing.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on to our next question, which is about video games, and that's being asked by me. So my question for you two is, how do you feel about the fact now we've had a couple of years of it now, the latest generation of consoles, and Ben, you were saying the PS3 did it as well. With the entire fact that you now have to download a game before you can play it. It's not like how it used to be, where you just put in a disc and you can just, unless there's an update, obviously. If you have an update, fair enough. But if you didn't have to update a game, you could just go. Now you're on a console with a limited memory space, and you have to download a game if you want to play it. So if there's a game you haven't picked up in a while, and you're kind of like, oh, I feel like playing this today, you have to wait a while until you can actually play it. You can't just go then and there and play it. You have to wait, because it just feels very backwards to me. It doesn't feel like we're progressing there. It feels like a backwards concept.
I was saying, because was it the Xbox, you could do that if you wanted to help improve, loading speeds, that sort of thing. The PS3, I'm pretty sure you had to do it, didn't you? You had to install the disc.
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure you had to install the disc. It wasn't downloading, you just had to install the disc, or a section of it. But I think it's... I don't mind it, because I think it will help, I say, with performance and making things faster and better. But I've recently started with, I hated the downloadable thing. I always want my disc, I want my hard disk. And then I sort of kind of switched. I suddenly realised it's not actually that bad. It's not expensive, yes. I don't understand why. Well, you do.
Well, you think it'd be cheap because there's no physical
product.
Exactly.
You're not buying. You're buying this thing. You're just downloading. But whatever. I guess from the officials, that's why. But I think it does make it more accessible, easier, and you can literally be like, what's new, that. Okay, I want that done. Downloaded. You gotta wait, yeah, but once it's done, I guess.
But technically, you say it's the same with disc. Once you've bought a disc, once it's done, it's done.
But you gotta remember the disc. You gotta take it with you. If you lose it, if you break it,
take it with you.
Whatever.
I'm talking about if you're just playing at home. Yeah.
I'm saying if you go somewhere, but yeah.
Just in general, everyday life kind of thing. So just say I wake up tomorrow morning and I'm like, I really feel like playing. I'm just trying to think of a game. Like I really want to play Halo 5, for example. I haven't got it installed on my Xbox at the moment, but I've got the disc. So I have to go through the entire install process before I can play it. And there's probably an update on top of that.
Because you haven't bought externals, so you have to delete stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I've only got the standard 250 gig.
That's changed now, though, as well.
But I know, but then you still have to buy a new console for that change. Like, if you get what I mean.
Well, yeah.
It's
I was saying everybody that jumps in now, and it was a tryout. It wasn't as bad in the beginning, I felt. I don't know. I never had an issue with it.
I never ran out.
I had everything installed that I really wanted to play. Games have gotten bigger now.
Yeah.
So, 70 gigs and stuff. I think... What was it? Gears of War 4 was 68 gigs or something.
My bigs was Elder Scrolls and GTA, and then I was allowed Assassin's Creed, and I was done.
Yeah,
then I could have a couple of small games.
Elder Scrolls Online is 86, I think.
Yeah.
But that's why it was a really nice surprise when I put Skyrim in the other day, and I literally, this is how weird it is. I was like, oh, it's only 27 gigabytes, and that it shouldn't be that. It should be I want to play it straight away. But I was surprised that and 27 gigabytes being considered small is again a new kind of concept. And I don't know, it just feels like game developers, I know they're trying to move everything more onto the downloading side so they can move past discs and then they can get to just a digital age.
They're not limited by the physical disc. They can just keep adding and adding and adding.
I can understand why people are having problems with it, but for me, it's just not an issue. It's just not something I've struggled with.
I like the fact you can, for example, I've got 83 something games, I think I looked at the other day, all on my hard drive.
Yeah, I can just sit there and switch as well. I don't have to get up to put the disc in. I can literally just go, click.
So you pick that up, you walk off with it. It's I've got all these in my hand.
The disc can't get scratched.
But you had to buy an external hard drive.
I did, yeah, but it's not a cheap fix, but it's a pretty good fix.
It's 30 quid fix.
It depends what one you buy, but sure.
I had a terabyte one that was on offer for 30, 20 quid.
But for someone for example, you two have a lot of games, so it makes sense for you to go out and buy the external hard drive. Someone like me, I've got probably around 10 Xbox One games, and I can't have all of them on the console. Yeah, I don't have that many. And I can't fit them all on my console. So I have to pick, and I have to kind of almost plan out my next couple of months of gaming. I'm like, right, if I want, or next week or something, if I want to play GTA today, then that's fine. But if I want to, saying Halo 5, if I want to play Halo 5 in the next couple of days, I need to work out what I can delete that I'm not going to want to go back to over the next couple of days, because it's just more effort than it's worth. Because by the time the game's installed, I'm already I can't be bothered now. I might as well.
I do miss the days of you go to a shop, you buy a game, you go home, you stick it straight in, you play. That was nice and easy, where you can just get on and you bought it if you want to play the bloody thing. So yeah, I remember the beginning of my Xbox One days. I would buy it, I'd stick the disc in and go, okay, I'm gonna go,
do something,
go for a shower, go eat, whatever, and then I'll come back later and be like, oh, is it done? But yeah, you got a point.
It just seems backwards to me, and I just don't feel like we are. it kind of also, I know that there have been like theories online and stuff, and there's probably a lot of evidence to back it up that obviously once they go online they can charge more, and and obviously they don't have to worry about the cost of distributing discs and manufacturing all the discs and the casing, which obviously 1 or 2 discs isn't much, but when you've got to do millions for like a AAA title, that probably is quite a big cost to go into the budget. So it does make sense that why companies want to move it online to the digital age. But okay, fair enough. Downloading games off the internet, they're going to take up memory. That makes sense. But when you're going out to buy the disc still, I don't feel like you should have to install a game. You should just be able to go in and play. And like I said, updates, fair enough, because they are to benefit the game. They're to fix bugs, bring new patches.
Nothing but good, normally.
And yeah, normally, yeah. Sometimes it just makes it worse.
In theory.
But it feels backwards. Like I've got a Nintendo 64 in there. I'll just go and turn that on. Any game on there I want to play, I don't have to worry about installing them or anything. I just put the cartridge in, turn it on, and there you go. I'm done. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Think about the memory space, though.
Yeah, no, I know. And I guess the advantage of having it that you install a disc as well is, like you were saying, you get, again, but it's the same with patches. You can make the game bigger theoretically once it's downloaded onto your console, because then when they can bring stuff out digitally to kind of expand the data, can't they? I think that's the right word. I'm trying to sound smarter than I am there. But like, and with DLCs, it's convenient having downloads, because you don't really want to go out and buy a disc just for a DLC. I remember like even on, I think it was Oblivion was the last game that I bought a disc for DLC on, whereas now you can just go online and download it, which is that is convenient and handy. Yeah. And the fact that you can download games is convenient and handy. But you shouldn't have to pick and mix and match when you paid for that game, and you've paid quite a lot of money. These games aren't cheap. You shouldn't have to mix and match and really kind of plan, because they're meant to be for leisure and fun and relaxing times. You're not meant to be kind of planning how you're going to do it. Almost, you're not going to be like, okay, so today I'm doing this game, and tomorrow I'm going to have to delete that and put this on.
I guess because you're saying it's backwards, but why would you say it's backwards? Like we're going worse?
Not worse, but in terms of practicality, it feels like we're going backwards. Not in terms of actual like how games are designed and everything, because if you see the graphics on today's games, and like a lot of games, their stories even still are really kind of fantastic. Obviously, you do kind of get a lot of rehashed stuff, COD, and things. But yeah, like the concept of video games is progressing. I'm not saying that. I'm not arguing that at all.
It's in space.
Oh wow! I've never ever played a first-person shooter in space. Or with ships, that's never.
You know why? You have the games.
It's almost like Halo. No, I'm gonna get in trouble saying that. But yeah, Rick, do you kind of agree that it seems in terms of practicality, it is almost a bit backwards that you have to install a game? It's like
I know what you mean by backwards. Backwards isn't quite the right word for it, because it's not something that's been done before. So we're not going backwards. But
accessible is what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
because like
it makes it less accessible. Yeah, that's probably a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
Because PC kind of feels like it made the conversion very suddenly and quickly. Like you don't buy a disc for PC games anymore. You do all of that online. So it feels like the consoles are trying to kind of imitate that. And
consoles are heading a bit to the whole PC configuration anyway, aren't they?
Well,
Think about starting to releasing consoles where you can adapt them, like put new processors.
Yeah, you can.
Stuff.
And they also certain games like Fallout and Skyrim, they've got mods now, like the PC mods. Yeah. You can do the whole modding system. That is brilliant, I think. And if they can simplify it for consoles, because obviously you don't have you can't program the consoles as a player like you can a computer. If they can simplify that on the consoles, that will be fantastic, and that will be a huge leap forward. Because that's always saying it's been like you know when you were growing up and stuff, you had the one friend who had the computer who was like, "Oh, have you tried this on this game?" You're like, "No," because I have it on Xbox. But so that is good. That is a nice kind of sign of progress and change. It's just that I'm just a bit.
You know how many games I've always had, like always, because I buy way too many. I've never had an issue with the space. I think recently, I think it's a year ago, when I started downloading all them digitally, that I really hit that point where I had so many games that I needed to buy an extra hard drive.
Well, do you play them, finish them, delete them?
No, now I don't anymore, but it used to be. Not anymore, actually, it made me more selective, so I committed to games more at the time. Now I'm just all over the place because I have everything installed. I'm like, I'll play 10 seconds of that, and I'll play that other thing.
See, that's a good way of looking at it. What you just said of once you finish a game, then delete it. But that only really works for single player games. I feel like which don't have much of a replay value because multiplayer you can't really finish a multiplayer if that makes sense. Like with Call
but
of
your
Duty,
friends,
Halo.
most people will move on to the next few games, so people will stop playing it. I've removed stuff because I'm like, well, we're not going to play that.
But it does make replayability much harder because, like we were saying, if you just casually feel like you wake up one day and you're like, oh, actually, I want to go back and play an old game, like an old Call of Duty or an old Halo, but you got the new one installed. You're gonna start as soon as you sit down and you start to think about installing it. There's a good chance you're just gonna go, oh, you know what? I'll just stick to the new one. And
I don't have enough time to play old games. I need to play all the new games. I don't have time to play old games that much.
What I would like to see in consoles, though, is like you touched on it, the thing with mods you're saying, is add-ons and stuff. Because I'm big into my WoW again.
Oh god,
I've
There we go.
got
It's
really
only
big
been
into
that
it
time till you
recently.
brought this in, yeah.
I had to bring it up at some point, but I've got plenty of add-ons on that. I use loads. You completely, basically, you get rid of the UI and you start again. I designed the whole thing how I wanted it.
But
That sort of idea for example,
well,
like
you could do that though with mods. You could essentially make a mod
I know,
that
but I mean, for
makes an
example,
add-on.
if we want to play Titanfall, and I want to like when we use a stim, I can't really see when it's on or off, so I want to have like stick a bar somewhere and just say it's on, and then have a bar showing the progress when it runs out and that sort of thing.
That could well happen in the future though.
That probably will happen. I
But my
think
point
Eventually.
it's already in on PC, so yeah, they could bring this sort of thing.
Eventually it
over to
will.
consoles.
It will.
because it does feel like consoles are kind of going in the direction of PC, which makes sense because PC, okay, it's a lot more expensive. Setting up your own PC and kind of building your own custom gaming PC is a lot more expensive than getting a console, but you can do a lot more with it. As we were talking about like mods and changing like your user interface and stuff like that. But like we were saying, because they're bringing mods into the video game, into video games, into the consoles now, it is more than likely that they will start bringing in more features like that, especially when you can start, as Rick was saying, customizing your consoles and kind of upgrading their processors and stuff. Then when that all starts happening, there is a very high chance you'll start seeing the things you're talking about there. So, which is a really good thing.
The reason that it might not happen, but the reason they'd question it, I guess, is because you buy a console for what's the term? I guess the stability of knowing this game will run on this console at the highest it is meant to on this console. Whereas PC, you have to choose all these components. So will it run at high, ultra, super low?
The console's more convenient, more practical than the PC. But you can get, like I said, if you know how to use a PC, you can get more out of it. And
and if you've got the money spare.
And if you've got money spare, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, if you're one of those people that really kind of understands all of that, or like how to build a PC and you'll know where to go to get good deals on. But it's still expensive, but you can find better deals. But just wait until the consoles go towards what Rick was saying about tweaking and stuff, because then that's when you'll suddenly start noticing like Microsoft bringing out, oh, here's a better like individual processing unit for your Xbox, but it costs about 3 times the price of a console.
It speeds it up by about 1 second.
Yeah, that's going to be when people might be like, okay, hold up, I've already paid £300-400 for a console. Why am I now spending an extra couple of £100 to make it better when it should already be that way?
I mean, yeah, my PC personally, I only upgrade it when I feel it needs to. Like, we were playing Ark before, and mine was really chugging away. It was not happy. The field of view was rubbish, so I just went out, got myself a new graphics card, fixed the problem. So you can just, I guess for a PC you can fix the problem when you have a problem. You just upgrade, you're done for whatever amount of time. So I wouldn't mind that with the console, but as you say, if they start charging stupid amounts of money for it.
And the thing is, will you have to use their own brand one, or will you be able to get parts for PC from other companies?
Third-party ones.
Kind of, because and also you have to, like, we all say, I'm sure we all said this before, that when you buy third-party like controllers, I remember back in the day, especially on like my GameCube and stuff, they would die very quickly, and you'd be trying to play a game, and then all your analog would stop working, your character would start walking across the screen,
into the wall or
guys,
something,
guys,
off the cliff.
yeah, and then you die, So the third-party stuff's kind of, it's almost, it's cheaper, but you're not getting a good value for money, whereas with the official brand stuff, it costs a lot more money, but it's going to work. Well, unless it...
It's always been the case, always will be the case. It's cheaper for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, but the whole... again, the whole idea of you having to install games and stuff. Do you guys find that a hindrance in honesty, or if you think of it, if you were a bit more of a casual gamer, because obviously we all play games quite a lot. But if you just had an Xbox when you kind of had the odd day off and you were like, oh yeah, I feel like playing,
Well, like I said,
do you feel it's more of an inconvenience? That you
I
have
said
to
yeah,
download
it
games?
could piss people off a little bit. But like I said, for me, it's not a problem. I can understand why people have issues with it. For me, it's not.
Yeah, I never played enough games at the same time to have an issue. So I was always like, I want to play this. This is on there. Then I would uninstall it because I knew I wasn't going to play it again. Well, at least for a while. But then I did start. I guess I wanted more at once, so I just, as I say, I did just buy a hard drive. It's not, the cheapest option to do, but I had to do that, so I did it. And now problem solved, done.
So it's kind of you can get over it if you
get over it if you just get.
I remember
one.
it's an
annoying.
issue of the original release of the Xbox One
And
console.
yeah.
Because all the new ones have a terabyte, which is enough.
It's kind of like you said. It's like
they made a mistake. Maybe they weren't quite sure. They weren't quite sure what they were doing or whatever. Or they were just thinking along. We're gonna release a slim in 2-3 years time, so we're gonna make it a small one now.
It was like the Elite, wasn't it, with the original Xbox? And one of the big things they managed to use to their advantage was the whole red ringing thing. They were like, if you get an Elite, you're not going to have any red ring problems. And it's like, well, we shouldn't have had them anyway. But to be fair, they were very good. If it happened within a certain time, they were very good at replacing them.
I think I got to replace 2 times for free.
Oh yeah, his 360 has just died now.
Yeah,
really?
I gave it to my sister too.
Would you like to give it a proper burial?
I've never used it for a long time because I had my one. Came downstairs to use it once, and it was just red ringed. I went, fantastic.
Is that when the whole house is silent? He turns on, you say, "Sorry!"
Oh dear. I'm not saying it's her fault, but who knows?
But they were very good with that actually. I remember I was so excited for Halo 3 coming out, and my console, I'd had it for a few months, and it red ringed the day before Halo 3 released, and I was like, oh no, please not today, not now. And I took it into I bought it from GameStation, and I took it in there, and I remember talking to the guy, and I was like, look, I can't find my receipt. It's just red ringed. And he was like, what's wrong? I was like, I need a new one. And he was like, okay, do you remember when you bought it? And I was like, I couldn't remember the date exactly, but the only thing I remembered was England had just played Portugal and lost in some big tournament.
So you bought it in England?
So I was like, I bought it a few months ago, on the day that, I think it was around the 14th of June or something. And he was like, let me just check on the computer. He checked the 14th of June, and he found my sale, and he was like, yep, 2 seconds. And that was all I needed to say, and he came out with a brand new console for me, and I was like, wow, that's
sweet.
Brilliant.
Lucky
didn't pay
you.
a penny, yeah. And was all in time for Halo 3, so disaster was avoided. And I was nearly crying.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to our final topic now, which is film. And Rick, what's your topic for us today?
I wanted to ask you guys, what is your favorite movie genre kind of thing? Like, what do you enjoy most, and why?
Okay,
that's a big question.
I think it's quite. I think it depends on what mood I'm in, really. For me, if I'm kind of in a really hyper mood, really kind of upbeat hyper mood, a good action film will do it for me. Superhero is. I think they can be. That should be considered its own genre now. The superhero films.
I still see that as fantasy, sci-fi.
Was it adventure action, really, isn't it?
A lot of, I guess, but I still think fantasy because it has that
Adventure,
potential.
action,
its
fantasy.
own little world.
If we're classing it as fantasy, then I say fantasy is definitely my favorite genre, because obviously films like Lord of the Rings, I've lost count how many times I've seen them. I've lost count how many times I've watched all of the Marvel films. And those kind of films, I think they're just nice films. They have, to me, in my opinion anyway, I feel like they have a good kind of message with them always, even if it's not necessarily a hugely positive message. There's still quite a powerful message to go with those films.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, they've got the, especially with Marvel, for example, they've got the good humor to go with it too. So you've kind of got this strong message for it, and then you've also, but at the same time, when you want to lighten up a bit, you've got characters like Iron Man and Spider-Man who are making these kind of really witty liners that will make you laugh every time you watch it, kind of. So it feels like they cover quite a few different emotions for you, which works quite well. Whereas kind of if you go to a horror film, you've got to be in the mood. You've got to be in the mood to get scared. You can't just come home from work stressed.
I'm so tired. I had a shit day.
Yeah, just oh god, another day at work. Come home, turn on the TV, you got something screaming at you oh, you did not sign up for this.
Well, that's why I've kind of got it into 2 categories. I kind of got comedy, for when I just want to switch off, just want to have something easy. And then, like I said, for me, it's the fantasy, sci-fi kind of genres. Just because I like the idea of like different worlds and different abilities and something more. Like thrillers and stuff, they're nice, but I've kind of gone off them a bit, really, like from what I used to be, because it's just the same thing over and over. Whereas fantasy and sci-fi, there's so much more potential in what you can create.
See, that's quite interesting, because I'd say I've kind of done the opposite to you, but I still love all my fantasy and sci-fi, and I'm definitely more into them than I'm into anything else. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten a greater appreciation for thrillers and dramas. And if they've got that kind of really tense story, I really get into them now, and I'm happy to sit down and watch them. Whereas before, I used to, like, when you kind of, when it's quite nice just to kind of, like you said, kind of switch off like a good comedy and just enjoy it, relax, and have a good time. It's quite nice in a way to have like a drama or a thriller to be kind of the flip reverse of that.
Yeah.
At the same time, and I'm really getting into those kind of films now, and especially dramas, really powerful dramas. I was watching it. It came out last year, but The Judge with Robert Downey Jr. And it's now one of my favorite films. And it just, I loved it. The story, the themes behind everything, the way the actors portrayed their characters, the dialogue, everything about it. I was just like, this is incredible. This is a really well-made film, and I love it. But at the same time, I couldn't. I wouldn't watch like a really tense drama or thriller if I'm not in the mood for it. So I think the mood is very important for which genre you're going to watch.
Well, I have that thing of like as you're saying again, the comedy thing is like I have a Domino's or I have my food. I just want to sit down, not pay attention to anything too much, and just
relax.
Switch off. Yeah. Again, I'm also the sci-fi one. Star Wars is my big one. Yeah, that's my John of Lord of the Rings. But to me, it's the same sort of thing that Rick said. It's the letting go of reality and sort of going into another world. That's why I play games, because I want to forget what's
escapism,
real,
essentially, in a way.
Yeah. And you just want to experience these things that don't exist. That not necessarily could never, but most likely wouldn't exist. And it's just it's interesting because it's these new concepts that you don't know about, and you want it to be real. So,
well,
I guess
you say that. Well, you want Star Wars to be real, but if you're sitting there watching
I'm thinking Star Wars.
If you're watching like The Walking Dead, you're like, I wish I was in a zombie apocalypse right now.
I had that moment. I remember I think it was like I must be at uni or something. I was just like, I hate work. It's so horrible. Just let the zombie apocalypse happen. Let it happen, and then it'll be easy. I can just go around killing some shit, and then
you know what will happen if there's really a zombie apocalypse?
Killing some
he'll be
shit.
the first
You mean
one
zombies? I hope.
Huh?
You're like killing some shit. Zombies. I hope.
I mean zombie.
No, he's going to be Negan.
I was going to say, don't do a Negan.
He's going to be the one with a bat.
Governor.
He's going to be Meanie. Oh no, Ben, no.
I'm going to bring a tank in. Well, cut someone's head off. Spoilers.
Yeah. But I think as well, the good thing about having a favourite genre, like I know a lot of people do have a favourite genre. Like there's a comedy is obviously a really big one. And going back to the idea of it depends what mood you're in, I think every genre of film can be really helpful and productive towards someone depending on the kind of state of mind they're in at that time. So comedies, if you're stressed out, like you said, you've had quite a long day at work and you're quite stressed, you've got a lot to do. Sometimes sitting there just for an hour or two to watch a comedy film can really pick your mood up and really help your motivation and think get going again. Like, you know what, life isn't that bad. Life is good, kind of thing. And whereas if you're feeling really stressed and tired, like we said, the last thing you want to watch is like a horror film or really depressing doom and gloom. You want something happy. So I think, you need to take your mood into effect. But as a general kind of film, I'd say I'm definitely, sci-fi fantasy.
What's your go-to film? You want to sit down and watch a film, what is it?
Mine's changed.
I always have mine. I've always got one.
What's yours?
It's not Star Wars. It's Django.
All right.
Every time.
See,
Django
that's
Unchained.
interesting, because that's a very long film.
Everything to me. As in, it's got, it's got the comedy elements because it's Tarantino, so I find him, I love what he does. It's got that mixed with, some, as you say, some grown-up-y sort of very mature themes. But it's just the way it's shot as well. It makes me happy to watch it. Basically, I remember watching it in the cinema, and I was just the biggest smile on my face all the way through. Even the terrible bits, I was just like, I'm just so happy. This is just the best. It's just satisfying, I guess, is a good one. When I watch it, I'm happy.
No, that's fair. It's interesting because normally your go-to film is, for example, like Django, like Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings, but it's not my go-to film.
Exactly.
No,
because
Star
it's
Wars.
quite
Star
a
Wars is
long.
my go-to.
It's a long film. I know that if
Yeah.
I'm going to start watching it, I'm committing to a good chunk of my day gone.
Yeah.
Kind of. So, actually, interesting enough, though, my go-to film at the moment is definitely Captain America: Civil War. Even like, even if
course.
it's a long film, I just love that film so much that I'll be like, you know what, I'm going to go and sit down and watch Captain. I've lost
So
count.
I
how
can
many times
happily
I've
sit
seen
down
it.
and watch it.
Mine has been one that's completely different from what we've actually discussed. Moulin Rouge.
Oh, I'm with
Good
you on
choice,
that. I
good
am with you
choice.
on that. It was on
Yes.
the other day on Sky,
Yeah.
and I just walked in. I think I was talking to my sister or something, and I was like, "I'm going to sit down for a bit now.
I
have something to do."
I love that
Go on.
movie. I don't know what it is, but I just love. I've actually been trying to
Brilliant.
find musical movies and stuff. Like
Not
there
the
aren't that
same.
many.
They're not
There aren't
the
many
same
good
either.
ones.
I don't know why.
It's
They're
really
quite-
hard to
It's,
find.
it's a very hard type of film to make. Writing
Yeah.
a musical film is
That's
difficult.
the thing. Like the main song from it is it's a mash of so many different songs all thrown together, written
Yeah.
for that film.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work.
But they've
You've gotta
done
find
it
stuff that
so
plays,
well.
yeah.
They nailed
They
that movie.
nailed it.
I
They
love
made
that
a
one.
majority of the songs. I heard one the other day, and I went, "Why do I recognise this?" I went, "Oh, it's that." I was like,
It was from you
I
too,
don't
wasn't
like
it? It was
it.
a bit of you too that was
Possibly.
in the because you said to me, it's like, oh,
I
that's
said
from
to you.
Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
listening to it. I was like, I don't like this. What is this? Whereas I love the song from the film.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, they've made it better.
Yeah.
But apparently, speaking of Moulin Rouge, Ewan McGregor, he was saying that he's been struggling with the accent for Beauty and the Beast.
He's French in that?
Yes,
It's a
yeah,
cannibal.
and he's doing singing the Be My Guest song, Be Our Guest song.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's struggling with that, but I can't wait because I thought he did a really good job in Moulin Rouge with the singing. I thought it was quite entertaining.
He's
You know,
brilliant.
sometimes some
Yeah.
people say some celebrities don't have the
He's
right
very
voice for it,
good.
but I thought he did brilliant. Yeah, so the fact that he's going into another musical is great. I can't wait to see
As
it.
a Frenchman.
And would you technically count Disney's as musical, like even the animation ones, because there's a lot of singing in them.
They are technically musical.
I guess,
kinda,
yeah.
Well, The Lion King was made into a musical.
Yeah.
So
So you could argue that
they are technically musical.
musicals are your
Yes,
favorite
I
genre.
guess.
Because they have their own songs. that's
But then
made
again, I
for
don't
them.
really watch Disney movies though.
Why not?
You know,
'Cause
you
you're
know
wrong,
I
yeah.
I love a good Disney movie.
I do
Yeah.
occasionally watch them, mainly because Em wants to watch them.
Well, that's a good reason to, yeah. But favorite genre, that is a good question. And like I said, I think it changes. I also think it changes not just on
Age.
mood, but like age as well. The older you get, there are different films you appreciate, and then there are films you used to love, and you kind of look back and you're like, why
What
did
was
I
I
like
thinking?
yeah. You try, and the worst thing is if you've had it where you have a film you love and you go to your friends you're like, guys, come on, let's watch this. It's gonna be great. And you sit down and you just look around the room and everyone looks so bored. You're like,
Why don't
oh,
you like
why
the
do you?
same thing?
Don't judge me. It's really good. I promise.
Have you seen?
Just wait 5 more minutes.
Did you watch Your Highness in the end?
I did. I actually quite like that.
Me and Sophie, we are obsessed with it. We loved it. But yeah, everyone, well, all sort of critics are like, this is the worst thing ever made. No.
It's actually really
Did you
good,
watch the film? It's absolute. I don't want to say trash. It's not really trash, but I mean,
Bad in a good way.
it's good bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good because it's bad, I guess.
But you always have to be careful
Fantastic.
with critics, isn't it? Because a critic isn't you, so therefore they're not going to see. They're not going to interpret
always
it from
their
the way you
opinion.
do.
And
Exactly,
they're
their
analysing
opinions
it
could be very
based
different
off,
to yours.
elements, aren't they, of film? Does it fulfill this? Does it do that? Does it do that? Whereas, if you want to watch it, if you like it, you like it.
And also, you got to think about. I was talking to Ben about this the other day. I saw an interview with the cast of the Netflix Daredevil TV series, and they were being asked about the Daredevil movie, and they were saying they actually quite liked it, and they were
the
sticking
old
up for
one.
it. Yeah, they were
I thought you
defending
were saying
it,
they're
saying it's
making
not a
new ones,
bad
yeah.
film. And then I can't remember his name now, but the actor who plays Froggy in the
Oh
series,
yeah.
he had a really good point. He was like, if you think about it, no one ever goes out there with the intention of making a bad movie. They're not starting production like, yeah, let's go out there and make a really rubbish film. They go out there trying to make a good movie. So that should be taken into account as well. It's not like it was. I know you can argue sometimes some things are lazy in films and stuff, but no one has ever gone out there with the intent to make a bad film.
Let's
So-
make no money and make a bad movie.
I mean, for example, like speaking of fantasy films from earlier, I will never forgive the people who made Aragon. I can't remember the name of the director.
Oh,
I don't want to
even
remember the
get me
name.
started on that movie.
Because I love the book series of Aragon, and I read that. I didn't see the film when it came out, and I didn't really learn about Aragon until later. But I read the books, and I was so excited when someone was like, "Oh, there's a film." I was like, "I've got to watch this." I watched the film. I was like, "What are you doing?" You're like, they're changing, like they're changing key plot points,
Yeah.
and it's like there's no reason for it. There's no logic behind doing it. It's almost as if they're tying it up, knowing they're not going to get a sequel. Even though there's 4 books.
Didn't the director hate it or something?
He didn't hate it. He was apparently, this is what I read, this could be wrong, but he was quoted as saying on the opening night of the premiere, oh, you're looking forward to making the second one? And he was like, well, let's just see how much money this one makes. Which isn't what you want to hear a director say. You want to hear them say, yeah, like, even if it's not receivable, I still want to make it. You want them to be passionate about the project. You want them to be like, I'm going to go out there and I'll learn from the mistakes this time and I'll make it better.
I want to love what it is, the content, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. You don't want them to just be like, money.
Give me more money.
Yeah, exactly. And anyway, guys, I think that's it for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in and listening to us. Please leave us some comments with some questions. It'd be great to hear from you. And if you like this video, give us a subscribe and we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Bye.